Perhaps the elephant in the room is getting hard to ignore. At least for me it is. We all have an elephant, and we take it with us into new places, when we meet new people, and transitions in our lives. An elephant is what makes us different from one another. We all have an elephant, and mine is that I'm gay. So let me start by saying I invite you to be present today. And by present, I mean vulnerable and ready to face yourself in a mirror. And perhaps feel a little shame, a little guilt, and a little regret looking into your past. But with that said, don't be afraid. I am here with you. So let's back up. What were your thoughts about me when I first came out here to do my talk? What are your thoughts about me now, a minute or two in? Did you have a thought of, another lesbian trying to help us accept it? Or maybe, I'm not gay, and I don't really know anyone that's gay. What could I learn here? Or maybe you thought, I don't judge anyone for being different. Not sure what I'll get out of this one. The point of my talk today was not to out myself to hundreds of people, but rather to introduce awareness and personal reactions when someone different from us walks into our space. And in order for us to address this topic, we must decide whether that reaction is a bias or a fear. So, what was it for you when I first said the word gay? Did you form a quick opinion based on prior experience and then form a judgment of me? Or did you get scared because you didn't know this term was going to be discussed today? To start the vulnerable space, for me, to say those two words out loud in some contexts and environments is very difficult. In fact, today, it was very difficult to say. And truth is, whether a bias or a fear, both are difficult to hide upon initial reaction. Now, when I say initial reaction, I mean, what is your response verbally? What is your response non-verbally? What is your facial expression portraying? Brené Brown, a writer, a scholar, and a public speaker, discusses in numerous forums that human connection is what we seek. That feeling of telling your story and having someone genuinely listen to you is vital to our emotional regulation, to feel normalized and to feel okay in our own skin. She says that disconnect creates or equates shame. Shame is what we feel when we feel poorly about ourselves. Shame is where the loneliness lies. So let us all go back to a time when we portrayed our elephant to someone and they gave us a cringe and judgment rather than a smile and understanding. Now, I apologize for making you go back to such a moment, but sometimes our past emotions are our greatest tools moving forward into the next interaction with someone, knowing a little bit more about ourselves and of others. Most of the time, our initial reactions come from our family and friends first, and we as human beings then internalize those reactions, and they can make us think or do the most unthinkable things or behaviors. It can even make us take our own lives. Suicide is the second leading cause of death in youth 10 to 24 years old. Even further, that number increases 4 times in LGBT youth. That number increases 2 times in LGBT youth that are questioning of that of straight youth. 4 times greater. 2 times greater. And like I said, family and friends are our first reactors, so listen to this one. LGBT youth that come from highly rejecting families are 8.4 times more likely to attempt suicide than LGBT youth that come from no or low rejection. To think that if our initial reaction could lower these numbers, to think that if somebody walked into my space and said, hey, Lyndsey, I said, what's up? And they say, I really need to tell you something here. I need to bring my elephant into the room. And I say, okay. And they say, I'm blind. I'm deaf. I'm gay. I was sexually abused. I have 35 tattoos under these clothes that no one will ever see. I participate in the Special Olympics. I have 2 choices in that moment. 1, to bring in my bias and my fear and to clearly show that in my reaction. Or 2, which is to say, thank you for being vulnerable in this space. I may not understand this, and I may never know how you feel, but it's going to be okay, because I'm right here with you. Just like I said to the audience earlier in my talk, when I said to feel a little shame, guilt, and regret. Those are my two choices. That is all I would need to say. It doesn't get any harder than that. But Lyndsey, what if they bring in their bias and their fear first? I mean, like, what if they judge you first? Well, audience, great question. I didn't know you guys could ask questions today. I would say address it. Call it out for what it is. You might be bringing a little fear here. You might be judging me a little bit here, and that's okay. This is all new, and we're going to go on this journey together. I had a variety of initial reactions when I first spoke about my elephant. As I struggled to get the two words out of my mouth, she began to cry. And she said, "Are you ever going to bring your partner home? Are you ever going to bring your children home? Please don't let them judge you. Please don't listen to what they're going to say, okay?" Another reaction, what are they going to say? What are they going to think? Did I do something wrong here? Another reaction, okay, whew, I thought you were going to tell me something 10 times worse than that. Okay, great. Another reaction, why didn't you tell me sooner? I can't imagine that was easy to live with. And the worst one I ever received was, I don't agree with this, so we can no longer be friends. Those individuals had two choices, to bring in their bias and their fear and to clearly show that in their reaction. Or two, I may not understand this, and I may not know how you feel, but it's going to be okay, Lynds. The fact that I'm not up in that 4-time statistic, the fact that I'm able to stand here and talk to you about reactions today makes me feel grateful every single day. And it's hard sometimes, and like I said, in some contexts and environments, I cannot even get those two words out of my mouth. And for a long time, I literally and figuratively ran from them. I can still feel the shame. I can still feel the loneliness. I can still feel the idea that nobody else in the world could possibly understand how this feels. And to get rid of those emotions, I coached, I played basketball, I drank, I smoked, I traveled, I did whatever I could to run away from those emotions. But then, I landed my dream job. And my dream job incorporated 18 to 24-year-olds speaking about their elephant every single day. And even further, I was going to be their first reaction. And I knew that if I was going to be the best reactor for them, I needed to go back to my emotions. I needed to figure out what triggered them, and I needed to begin to heal from them. So that leads me to this. How do we create this environment? Can we create an environment that is completely without bias or fear? In my opinion, absolutely not. But we can create a space without judgment, and it starts by us knowing ourselves and what we need. When I portray my elephant, how do I want someone to respond? And even though I don't know what it feels like to live with someone else's elephant, we all have one thing in common, remember? We all want to feel connected. Human connection is where we can start. Language is key. If you do not know whether to call your friend's partner a boyfriend or girlfriend, then ask. If you do not know whether to say person with disability, disabled athlete, or disability, then ask. Be careful when you say to a growing boy or girl, you're going to marry her or him. Create a space where love is love. If you're a parent, a mentor, a coach, a human being in general that has not thought about how you're going to react to someone else's elephant, I encourage you to do so. Your reaction is key to lowering these statistics. Create a space where anybody in the world, anybody that looks different, that speaks different, that has a dark past, that is making poor present choices, anybody in the world can be themselves in front of you. You can say what you need here. You have no limits here. Trust without question. Now, I'm not saying that having a bias or a fear is wrong, but what I am saying is that we need to start leaning into that bias and that fear. We need to figure out why it's there in the first place so that we can go into the next interaction with a better understanding of what we need and what others need from us. Don't have limits to your love. I love you, but now that I know you're gay, please don't dress like what do you call those butch ladies? I love you, but don't tell your grandparents. You know how they are. I love you, but don't bring your partner home, okay? Just say, I love you, because that person with their elephant in hand is just as scared as you may be. And you may not know what it feels like to live with that other person's elephant, but what you do know is fear, because we are all scared of something. We are scared of our elephant being portrayed out into this world. And in order for us to be able to sit in the same space with someone that is different from us, we must fear forward. We must love our own elephants, and we must love without condition, because people are scared. But with fear comes some wonderful, beautiful, awesome human connection that can decrease our shame, decrease our guilt, and decrease these numbers we continue to hear rising in our youth. I'm not up here talking about practicing diversity or acceptance. I'm up here talking about practicing humaning, being a human being with one another. So I challenge you to love your elephant and to be the person that responds to someone else's elephant with love without condition. Thank you.